Choir members, this is really close and poor quality, so I apologize for that. But this video is meant to be a recap for those of you that were not at the November rehearsal, and maybe even for those of you that were and you want to hear it again. So I'm going to talk about things like a couple announcements, breathing things that you need to know that you need to mark in your score before your next rehearsal, other stylistic things like where I'm making changes in the music. So please, if you have the next 10 minutes or so to sit down and go through your music and write these things in, that will save us a ton of time. And one of the things I want to say about our rehearsal last week, I think it was, a week ago from today. I think it just showed us the importance that we need to be making sure that we're putting in our time to learn our parts, whether in sectionals or at home, because it is really hard to have a full group rehearsal whenever we're still trying to play parts. So I just want to encourage you to keep working hard on learning your music. I've given you recordings on 3 different platforms, and all of those 3 different platforms, Google Drive, YouTube, and Spotify, have full recordings of everything. Google Drive and Chorus Class and YouTube, actually there are four platforms. Google Drive, Chorus Class, and YouTube all have individual part recordings. If any of those are problematic for you or you can't figure them out, let me know. I'll make sure I get those fixed. Some of them do have words with them, and I know that not all of you prefer to learn your parts that way, like you would rather prefer to learn them in a rehearsal. I just think it'll save us all a lot of time if you're able to go through those a few times before you come to rehearsals. But as for sectionals, I think that can take the place of you listening to your recordings. Definitely take advantage of sectionals. We're having some for the ladies tonight. I'm working on setting up some for the guys. And I think I'll probably do another sectional. We'll kind of see how tonight goes. But if you are still feeling stressed about learning your parts, let me know, and I'm happy to come in even more and work with you, even one-on-one, or if you and a friend want to get together, or a quartet. Like, I am more than happy to help you learn your music. I do not want you to feel like you're freaking out. So that being said, whenever we come in for our group rehearsals in December, please make sure that you stop by the table and you look over all of the papers that are there. Sometimes I change things. So like, for example, one of the things that you'll need to do if you haven't done it yet is grab a new O Magnum Mysterium, because the first one that I printed out and gave copies of at RTCS was missing the bass line on the front page. So you might check yours if you printed it off yourself, because some people printed off the correct thing. So just check for that. Okay, so here, let's go through some of this music, starting with God So Loved the World. So go ahead and take that out. And I'm going to go ahead and give you some of our breathing plans. We're mostly going to breathe where we have rest, but otherwise I'll tell you. So from the very beginning, we'll sing through God So Loved the World, breathe on beat 2. Then the next phrase, don't take a breath after world or gave. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. After son, we're actually going to shorten that note to 1 beat. So a quarter note, and we're going to breathe on beat 2. Begotten son, that whoso believeth, quick breath after believeth, believeth in him, breath on 3. Should not perish. And I want the sh to come on beat 3. So we're going to put a quarter rest in there, take a breath right there. Then moving on, no breath through this phrase. Should not perish, but have everlasting life. On the word life, I want to do a fermata, so I will just hold it out and you can watch me. I won't count that out. Then we're going to take a breath and not breathe throughout the next phrase. For God sent not his son into the world to condemn the world. After world, take a quick catch breath. Then we're going to sing through the next phrase. God sent not his son into the world to condemn the world. I'll slow down there and treat that last word as a fermata. Then when we come back in, we have a whole nother phrase to sing through without any breaths. But that the world through him might be saved. Fermata on ved. Then God so loved the world, breathe on 2. God so loved the world. Don't breathe after this one at the end of measure 44. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. That's where we're going to add another quarter rest. So we're going to breathe on beat 2. Begotten son, that whoso believeth, little catch breath there, believeth in him. Treat that as a fermata. Should not perish. Breath on 3 there. So change that to a quarter note. Should not perish. Breath. Then the second one we're going to carry through. Should not perish, but have everlasting life. Now, if you're a soprano on life, I want you to hold that for 2 beats and cut off on 3. Lasting life. But if you're everybody else in measure 60, you can take a breath after your first life. Lasting life, everlasting life. And also after that life, you can take a breath. Okay, then the sopranos come back in. We're going to take a little catch breath after lasting, and then sing all the way through the next phrase. Everlasting life. Now notice, sopranos, you have sting at a different time than the rest of the choir does. Altos, tenors, and basses on lasting life, each of those are 3 beats. Lasting life. Okay? For the last one, it's pretty self-explanatory. Just breathe where the rests are from measure 68 to the end. Let me see if there's anything else I want to mention about this song. Yes, okay, so altos and sopranos in both measure 15 and measure 52, your parts cross. So the sopranos will be taking the lower note, but the stem goes up, and the altos will be taking the upper note, but the stem goes down. Also, one other thing to watch out with this song in particular is to put those shadow vowels or those schwas in between words. So like when we have should not perish, you're going to say should not perish. Do you hear how I'm adding in between? Should not perish. And again, whenever we have but that the, hear how I said it? I said it terribly. But that the. Okay, so it takes some getting used to, but it really emphasizes our diction very well. One other thing to watch out for in this song, and you might write this just right at the beginning, is I'm going to use a lot of rubato, or as much as we can, depending on how well we know the song. So what rubato means is that I'll be speeding up and slowing down quite frequently throughout the song. Okay, so that is that. Then let's move to Sing We the Song of Emmanuel. This one's going to be really easy. I'm probably not going to conduct this one. I will probably be at the piano. We'll have some instrumentalists like that, and maybe even a different song leader. So someone singing this as a solo with the choir in the background. So that being said, make sure you know this one really well because you might not have me. So right from the beginning, we're going to set a pattern that we're going to use for pretty much the entire thing. And that's this. After 2 measures, we're going to, at the end of 2 measures, we're always going to add a rest on beat 4, unless I say otherwise. So right from the beginning, we would do it this way. Sing we the song of Emmanuel, rest. This the Christ who was long foretold, rest. Lo, in the shadows of Bethlehem, rest. Promise of dawn, now our eyes behold, rest. Okay, so we're going to continue that. God Most High in a manger laid rest. Lift your voices and now proclaim rest. However, when we have this pattern, great and glorious love has come to us. Take those 2 measures together and then breathe after us. So it'll all together sound like this. Great and glorious love has come to us. Join now with the hosts of heaven. And cut off on beat 3. So we're going to continue that for the second verse as well. So like, for example, at the top of page 4, measure 41 and 42 and 43 and 44 will breathe the same way. Grace and majesty, what humility. Come on, bended knee, adore him. Cool. All right. on the top of page 5, everybody needs to look out for this. The altos have the melody starting in measure 59. So sopranos, you will be caught off guard by this. And altos, make sure you really sing that out. Is there anything else I want to say about this one? Oh, when we get to bottom of page 6 on Gloria, I want you to try to make as open an O you can. Gloria. And try to flip that R instead of saying Gloria. Try to flip that R if you know how to do that. If you don't know how to do that, either don't worry about it or use a D. Gloria. I promise it won't sound as crazy. Okay, that's all we need for that one. Let's skip ahead to O Magnum Mysterium. Okay, for O Magnum Mysterium, I'm going to go ahead and go through the pronunciation. This one, I'm just going to do it by eyeball. So I have pronunciation sheets for you. Hopefully you have one of those. But here it is out loud. O Magnum Mysterium et admirabile sacramentum. O Magnum Mysterium et admirabile sacramentum. And then that's repeated, obviously. Ut animalia viderent dominum natum, viderent dominum natum. Then the next section, iacentem in praesepio, iacentem in praesepio. And then at 40, o beata virgo, cuius viscera meruerunt, portare Dominum Iesum Christum. Christum, not Christum. And then Alleluia. So a couple of things to look out for as you're singing. As you're singing this piece, there are a couple words that you would be tempted to say incorrectly, and I think that Christum is definitely one of them. Yesum, for Jesus, the I-E-S-U-M. Make sure it's Yesum and not Yesum. Another good thing to look out for is Alleluia. Make sure it's a ya at the end and not a ya. So as far as breathing in this kind of piece, in a Victoria piece, we want to make sure that we breathe only with punctuation and rests. So you'll want to go through your part, marking breaths only where there's punctuation and rests. So that means you might have a really long time where you have to sneak a breath in a non-traditional place. The sopranos have this right at the beginning. Et admirabile sacramentum. They're not allowed to breathe that whole time. So they're going to sneak in and out here and there, making sure that they're not with anyone else. So look for commas, look for periods, and look for rests. Otherwise, do not breathe as a group. I don't think that there's anything else I want to say about this one other than that it's really, really important for this one that you have part independence. So if you know your part well on this one, it will not be hard because we'll just keep the steady beat and keep going. But if you're feeling unsure about your part, this is one that will fall apart. So if you're going to prioritize anything, I would say prioritize this one. Also look out for the part top of page 3 where we change to a slightly different tempo, and you can listen to recordings to hear that. So that's when the Alleluia section starts. All right, moving to O Come All Ye Faithful. This first part I want to talk about is going to be about part splits with altos and sopranos, particularly alto 1s and soprano 2s. They need to know when they're taking the middle note and when they're not taking the middle note. So listen up, ladies. On page 6, this is where it starts. Otherwise, otherwise there's no women parts at the beginning. So from the beginning, the altos are going to take the middle notes. So alto ones, you will be on the middle note. Alto twos, you will be on the bottom note. And all sopranos, you will be on the top note. This continues for all of page 6, all of page 7, and then the first 2 beats of page 8. So the first 2 beats of page 8, the alto ones will be taking the middle note. However, the second 2 beats of the top of page 8 on zens of, I want the second sopranos to drop down to the middle notes. So that means if you're an alto 1, you're going to go to the bottom note on zens of. That will continue. So soprano 2s are going to stay on the middle notes for that measure, heaven above. Okay? So all the top of page 8. When we get back to the bottom of page 8, we're just in 2 parts. So if you're an alto, go up. If you're alto, go down. If you're a soprano, go up. And then we don't see another split until the top of page 12. So flip over there. On page 12, second measure, the alto ones are going to take the middle note and then go to the bottom note on morning. So they'll sing C, B. So that means soprano 2s, you just stay on the top for that entire measure on morning. Then if we flip over to page 13, soprano 2s are going to be the ones that take the middle notes here. So the soprano 2s, very first measure, page 13, will sing E, then drop down to the B, then 8th note B, B. Alto 1s, you just stay on the bottom that entire time, and you have the quarter notes. Glory give. Okay? When we are on the bottom of 13, at Word of the Father, I still want that to be middle soprano, like second soprano on the middle notes. And Abby just texted me. Hi, Abby. Page 14 is going to be the same thing. If there are 3 notes, I want the soprano 2s to take the middle note. On top of page 15, sopranos, look out. You're on your own staff now. So second sopranos, make sure if there are 2 notes on the soprano staff that you are singing the bottom note. That continues for page 16 and page 17 as well. But then when we get to the bottom of page 18, second sopranos, you'll want to be careful because you will go up to the top note since we have altos and sopranos on the same staff now. On page 19, all the middle notes will be taken by the soprano 2s. So alto 1s, you stay down on the bottom, and that's the way it continues for the rest of the piece. Now, talking to the tenors, measure 60. Gotta find this myself here. In measure 60, tenors, please don't sing those small notes. They're already being covered by other people, and I just don't need them. So I'd rather you stay on the actual tenor part. Now, this is for everybody. Oh, come all you faithful, if you haven't been listening up to this point. So basses. I'm going to go over breaths. And by the way, at the very beginning, it says basses and baritones, but that's going to be basses and tenors because, yeah, I need you. Okay, let me see if there's any strange breathing parts in here. Oh, every time you see that dotted line, like for example, the men on page 5 from measure 15 into 16, that means carry through. So you're going to sing, come and behold him born the King of A. Okay, so carry through anytime you see that nice dotted line that Dan Forrest put in there for us. Nothing strange. Okay, ladies, page 7. I'm adding in a rest for you. Measure 30. Sing in exaltation. We're all going to put a na on beat 4. Turn the page. Top of page 8. Women, make sure you hold out your above until beat 1 of the following measure. So basically, your cutoff is going to coincide with the men singing glory. Everybody needs to circle, highlight, whatever. This is your music to do what you want with it. In 36, you have a rest on beat 2. It is so important. Glory to God. Oh, glory. It's really cool when it's done well. Let me see if there's anything else I'm changing. Top of page 12. This is for everyone, soprano through bass. Measure 54, we're going to add a rest on beat 4. Morning, G. That way we're all together on that particular breath. Okay, and then if you could flip to page 16 and 17, I'm going to do something very similar. For basses and sopranos, the sopranos are singing adore, the basses are singing hymn. I would like both of you to breathe right on beat 2. So if you're a soprano, you're singing do, Okay, and basses, yours is kind of already written that way. On page 17, altos, tenors, and basses, I would like you all to add in a rest on beat 3 of measure 69. So you're going to sing hymn for 2 beats, rest, oh, come. Hymn, oh, come. So if you're an alto and a tenor, you're going to do the same thing in measure 70. Come, oh, come. And I'm telling you all these things because I cannot show them all from the podium. I will do what I can, but I can only show one line at a time. Just notice at the bottom of 18, this is for everyone, bottom of 18 and into 19, this is a really long phrase, so you're just going to have to cross breathe. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ. So if you can make it through that, you get a gold star. Look at the very last measure, measure 82. We're all going to cut off there on beat 1. Okay, so don't worry about the 8th note hanging over there. It's just to make sure that we hold it out that long. I think that is pretty much everything for O Come All You Faithful. One thing the men really need to watch out for is building your phrases well, especially from the very beginning. Oh, come, all ye faithful. I think come is way more important than oh. So I don't want to, oh, come, all ye. I'd rather get a, oh, come, all ye faithful. So we'll work on that. Turn to Mary Had a Baby. Mary Had a Baby. I really like this one. Actually, this started going pretty well at rehearsal, so I have high hopes for it. It's going to be fun. If there's divisi in your part, so if you notice that there are small notes and big notes, we're going to take those, and it can be for whoever feels comfortable. So if you'd rather go up to the higher note that's on your line, or you'd rather go down to the lower note that's on your line, go ahead and do that. There's only one place that I really don't want that to happen, and it's every time the men have this nice little melody, like on the bottom of page 5, where you have the people keep a coming and the train done gone. I'd really rather you not jump down to that C because you have the melody. So let's sing it, right? The people keep a coming and the train done gone. All right, let me see if there's anything in this that I need to alert your attention to. I finally did do a good recording of this one, so that should be helpful for you. I actually don't think I changed anything with this, so we should be good to go on to the next song. Oh, I changed one thing. Okay, bottom of page 18, and this is just for altos and sopranos. For Yes, My Lord, we're going to put the cutoff of Lord on a stronger beat than is written. So you'll have 1, yes, my Lord, the people keep a coming. So technically we'll probably be in 2 here. Yes, my Lord, the people keep a coming. Okay, so just look out for that. And I think that's all for that one. So let's go to Glow. In Glow, there is a quick typo that I want to alert you to. This is for altos and sopranos, bottom of page 4. It should be morning breaks and sets the earth aglow, not just a singular set. There are a couple of tricky places in this that I think you just need to be careful of, and it mostly occurs in the women's parts, I think. So, like top of page 5, altos in gentle tones of white. Look out for the rhythm on that. In gentle tones of white. Okay, and then later when you have Aurora's light, the amount of time that you spend in that suspension is different. So really pay attention to the recording. Sopranos at the bottom of page 5, you also have an awkward line. For the most of this song, we don't need to change anything breathing-wise except for on bottom of page 7. This is for sopranos. For the word mourn, we're going to cut that one beat short. Rise and illuminate the morn. Cut off on 4. and that'll give us a good chance to all start on softly together. Other than that, if you are counting and breathing, make sure that you are holding things out for their full value. So if you have a whole note, a note that takes up an entire measure, you actually want to hold that till beat 1 and cut off on beat 1. And then if everyone could look at the bottom of page 10, measure 36, soprano, alto, baritone, I think I'm going to do the same thing there. I think I'm going to add in a rest on beat 4 so we can all come in on glow together. Okay, so add a rest on beat 4 of measure 36. In this song, in Tundra, which is for the women's piece, go for pure dark tone. We're going to avoid a whole lot of vibrato, except for in the climaxes. So if you're a guy, you can tune out. Goodbye. Ladies, Tundra. This is another one that you just really want to make sure that you really know your independent part. The parts are all very close together, even they move at similar times most of the time. It's going to sound really similar to what the person beside you is singing, but they're probably 1 or 2 notes above you. So just really make sure you understand what your part is and how it fits in. And I'll try to make sure that you have someone beside you. So ladies, here we go. We're going to mark some breaths. Measure 3 and 4, we're not going to breathe after measure 4. We're going to go straight through to 5. Now, at the end of measure 6, we're going to add a breath on beat 4. Okay, so that then on measure 7, we can start all together. So then we'll sing 7 and 8. Don't breathe after 8. Carry through to 9 and 10. And same with 9 and 10. Now we can't breathe right on beat 4 because the soprano ones are moving. So we're just going to try to take as quick a breath as we can at the end of measure 10. Then we'll all come in together on measure 11. Now this will be a little bit different. We'll sing measure 11 and 12, and then we'll all take a breath on beat 4 together. So add that one in. Top of page 6 is a little bit different. We're going to sing worn and weathered. So don't breathe after worn. But after weathered, you can add another beat of a rest on beat 4 of measure 16. The say. And then after sacred, we're not going to breathe on beat 4. We're going to breathe on beat 1 because there's not a lot happening after that. So carry that all the way through to beat 1 of the next measure. Soprano 1s, so that you know where to breathe. You can breathe at slightly different place. So you're going to sing measure 19 and 20, and then on beat 1 of measure 21, that's where you'll take your breath right on the beat. And then you also can take a quick breath after the word gray and a quick breath after the word strewn. And that one is in measure 24. So basically with the punctuation there, even though it's not marked for you. And then whenever you have earth, this is really important for S1, S2, A1, A2. We have 2 different cutoffs here, and it might depend on who's doing what and what IQ. But if you're soprano 1, you're going to cut off in measure 27 on beat 1. But if you're S2, A1, A2, you're going to cut off on beat 2. And so it has this kind of cool, like, layered thing. So if you're singing, okay, so there'll be 2 different cutoffs there. And we won't notice the second one as much because you guys are on the word O. So it doesn't have a real firm ending. And that too goes to say with this song, pretty much all the phrases, even if you're singing O or Ah, are going to grow and fade away almost to nothing. So they're going to come from almost nothing and go to almost nothing. So these cutoffs are a little bit arbitrary. I just want to make sure that the sound is done by that point. Then whenever we go to page 10, snowy patches strewn, if you're an alto 1, you get a really unique line and you're super special. So take a breath after strewn. Everybody else, you're going to take a breath after strewn as well, but yours is later. So altos, you just sneak a quick one, and then S1s, S2s, A2s, you're going to take yours right on the downbeat of measure 32. Strewn, anchored to the crag. And I didn't sing the right note, but you get it. S1s, top of page 11, take a quick breath after earth, and then you keep going. Panzer, no. My dog is trying to eat on my bathroom garbage. Measure 35, alto 1s, alto 2s, soprano 2s. I want you to add a rest on beat 2 of measure 35. Then going to page 12, Everybody that says unmoving, the first unmoving, we're going to take a quick breath. So that's right after beat 3 of measure 37. Moving, unmove. Now the next one, unmoving, for those of you that don't have the solo, in measure 39, we're going to hold each of those notes for 2 beats and cut off on beat 5, which is something else you got to watch out for. Moving, ah. So that is going to feel like an extra long measure, but we really want that feeling of that pregnant pause. Top of page 13, this is where we have a nice little partnership between the S1s and the A1s, and then the A2s and the S2s. So S1s and A1s, team 1, you're going to breathe after, do a quick breath in between ahs. You can't use a whole beat, especially because you have some moving notes, but just take quick breaths in between all of your ahs. So as soon as a new one starts, you've snuck in a little breath. A2s and S2s, you get rests, but you can breathe, like for example, on measure 42 on the first beat. Boom, across the vast. If you are on that part, don't breathe after vast. Vast, eternal. And it's really cool whenever we do that part without a breath. Then, top of page 14, we'll keep going with the S2s and A2s. After sky, take a really quick breath, and then you're good. If you are a S1 or an A1 at the top of 14, measure 45, just take a quick breath again between ahs. It's no big deal. Everybody in measure 49, we're going to change that to end our ah or sky on beat 2 of measure 49. Boom, boom. And that's that for that one. We're going to take all of us, or including the soprano soloist, measure 51 on the and of 4. We're going to take a little breath there. So we're going to go oh, oh. And then that's pretty much it. So like I said, try to practice this, especially at like the beginning and the end of the piece where it's really sparse and there's not a lot going on, to do it as smoothly as possible without vibrato. And as we get to the climax of that piece, then we'll really kind of like let it fly and we'll let that vibrato shine. So this video is a lot longer than I anticipated, but hopefully that covered all of the breathing things that we talked about in our rehearsal in November. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all soon.